The fire was burning my skin to the bone. The pain was so excruciating as I hung upside down, unable to unfasten my seatbelt. As the fumes filled my lungs, and I realized, this is it. I'm gonna die, and I'm only 18 years old. Everything faded to black. I woke up in the hospital with bandages from head to toe, completely burned, and a prognosis from a doctor who said, you will never be able to walk again properly. You will never be able to dance again properly. You will have a metal rod in your back, and you will never be able to have children. I was subscribed and prescribed to the medical industry, and I was doing everything I possibly could to numb the pain, taking every type of medication. And then I packed my bags and I moved to Los Angeles, only to realize that 5 years later, my life would change forever.
So there I am. I'm running through the Coachella field. It's a beautiful, beautiful summer day, and I'm alive, young 20s, feeling full of vigor and zest, and I had just launched my company, Spirit Hoods, and then boom, there I see her. She's dancing in the field. A beautiful brown beauty, a queen. She's spinning like a dervish, but it wasn't right to approach. I honestly didn't have the courage to do so in that time, but I admired her from afar, and I was struck. My friends grabbed me, they swept me away, and then later that night, in a sea of 100,000 people, there she is again. And I was not going to miss this moment, so I said, let's go. And I come running up on her, and her friends dancing, and I say, come, take my hand. Thank God she did. Took her hand, whisked her away into the center of the crowd, up to the DJ booth. The beat is building, the beat drops, the fireworks and the lasers go off. Our souls reunite, two flames reunited as one.
It's also called MDMA.
Yeah, okay, but 12 years later, okay, of love and devotion, and my high still has not come down. You feel me? Woo! In fact, it only continues to grow. My love, my queen. What happened next?
I avoided him for months on months. Everything I could possibly think of to avoid meeting up with him. But the truth was, I was living in fear, and I was so scared. I was so scared to pursue someone that was outside of my culture, that was outside of our race, and that was outside of my religion. Because I was conditioned to believe that I could only marry somebody who was Muslim and from the same community. And so I didn't want to break his heart.
Yeah, she was playing hard to get. I was trying real hard, and I would call, and we'd have these beautiful, beautiful hour-long phone calls. And you know, ladies, if you're not interested in the dude, you just don't pick up, right? But that wasn't the case, and it was driving me insane. How could this connection be so real and yet so far from my grasp? 3 other, not so random, serendipitous events occurred where I kept seeing her again and again and again and again. And then finally, she agreed to a date.
Most people call that stalking.
You run a tight show. Tough.
The truth is, we fell in love. Yep.
Thank you.
The truth is, we fell in love, and I got to witness this boy grow into a man. He used to sleep on a foam mattress. We used to sleep on a foam mattress because I was dragged onto the foam mattress. Dragged.
You can't use those words, girl. Come on.
He used to steal avocados just to eat as a struggling actor. And I stuck around, but did you guys know, actually, as a struggling actor, he was in the Twilight Saga as frat boy number 3?
Girl, it was frat boy number 1. Okay, number 1, and I was the dude that got kicked in the nuts by Kristen Stewart right before Robert Pattinson came up and saved the day, and that was it. I was gonna be a star.
That was not it, but I did get I did get to witness the rise of his fashion label called Spirit Hoods. So there we are in Las Vegas at a beautiful, huge trade show called Magic. And he had designed Spirit Hoods for everyone, from Snoop Dogg to Miley Cyrus to Justin Bieber. And this was his moment in time. And I couldn't go. And he couldn't go because I was in so much pain. I was just living in my pain body. And he was fed up with me. And he said, look, I want to offer you something. It's called healing. And I was like, okay, whatever, babe. And I had no idea what that meant. Came from a completely different world where that's completely shunned upon. Black magic, whatever you call it in our culture. And I agreed. And he came up to me and introduced something that I had never even heard before. And he asked me to forgive my body. Have you ever forgiven your body for the pain and suffering and all of the emotions that you've been holding for years and years? And that was the newest concept to me. So I agreed to do this beautiful healing modality. And within 5 minutes, I completely released every single emotional trauma that had anything to do with my accident and leading up to it. I was bending over, touching my toes. I hadn't touched my toes in 6 years. I was 23 years old. I was FaceTiming my parents. Mom, look, I can do a downward dog. And I don't do yoga. Crying with my parents. I got my life back. I'm a girl again. I can dance again. And that night, we never danced like we did before.
It's true. It's true. That night and that moment set Shayoon on the path of her own awakening. And it was beautiful to witness as my love started receiving visions. She started channeling. She could hear her angels, her guides. She thought she was going crazy. On came the anxiety and even more depression, another round and a new circumstance. And I told her, look, you've got to embrace the gifts, because if you shun them away, you may never get them again. It was beautiful to witness that even through the pain and the suffering that she was going through, she was still leaning in, leaning in, leaning in. And her visions and her dreams and the wisdom was narrating our life in magical, miraculous ways. I got to witness this like a little boy watching a film with wide eyes, wishing that, always dreaming that this could actually happen, that magic was real. And sure enough, she began to receive a vision of something called the Light Force Center, a center of light, a pyramid of light over an island, and we had no idea where this would be. This was meant to be a new place, a new destiny, somewhere where we could go and create a new home. So we started traveling the world, and we arrived in Ibiza. And we landed there, and the moment we stepped foot on that land, we felt the power and the magic of the land. For the first time in our lives, we felt home. Something that I can't really explain, but we knew it to be true. We went back to Los Angeles. We packed up all of our things. I sold my company. We said, this is it. We're going forth. We're leaving the old world behind. 4 years building in building in Ibiza. We have our first son, home birth, in the beautiful woods and the mountains, Aya. We start honing our gifts, working on our modality, starting to helping people. And it was insular. This wasn't something that we were projecting. It was something that we were really just nurturing and growing. And the vision was finally arriving. We found the land, we found the center, we found the place, and we were about ready to close the deal on the land. Everything's packed in boxes. The moving trucks are here. We're ready to leave our home. We're going to live in this place as well. And my lawyer calls and says, Alexander, no, you cannot sign this deal. I said, what are you talking about? He said, there's an illegal build on the land, and if you sign this deal, you won't get the permits, and you can't run it as a business legally. I was like shocked. What are we supposed to do? He said, I don't know, but you got to figure it out. So instead of sending the vans to this new center, we diverted them to my office downtown. There we are on a blow-up mattress on the floor. It wasn't foam, so I guess we had upgraded. I've got my son. He's about to turn 2 in the crib. We've got a wolf, me and Shayoon, on this blow-up mattress thinking, what the fuck just happened? Like, our whole entire lives, the rug to our lives, just got completely pulled out from underneath us. So we did what probably each and every one of you would have done. We came to Bali. And 2 weeks turned into 2 years. So what happened?
Our first week in Bali, I awakened to the sound of my son's crib screeching across our hotel room. I grab my phone, turn on my flashlight, and there's a man hiding beside his crib. I can't explain to you the severe shock running through my body, but I knew I had to act quickly. So I mustered up every ounce of courage that I had to yell to Alexander, there's a man in our room. There is a man in our room.
I couldn't really comprehend what was going on, so I just shouted out, hey! And I saw the shadow and the man run into the bathroom, so I got up and I ran into the bathroom and I flipped on the light and there was nobody there, out the window. But he had left his phone. I quickly ran back inside, make sure Shayoon was okay, and most importantly, make sure that my son, Aya, was safe. And there he was, sleeping, undisturbed. The relief that washed over us in comparison and coupled with the dread and the shock is something that can't even articulate with words. But in that moment, we recognize it wasn't what was taken, what was stolen, what wasn't. That we had actually just prevented the kidnapping of our son. And that night, it changed our lives forever as COVID began.
Week 2 in Bali, something called COVID-19 hits. We get locked down in Bali. Our residence permits to Spain and Ibiza expire on our second week, and they are no longer allowing U.S. citizens back into Europe. We're stranded here on the island with nothing. Everything was stolen from us, our cards, everything. And we had dramatically broken hearts. Very, very, very deep trauma ran through our blood. And we had broken hearts, but not completely broken spirit.
So we leaned on our gifts. We leaned on the things that we taught. We went in. We worked on healing ourselves of the trauma and the pain. And through that process of healing, something really beautiful and magic started to happen. We started looking and witnessing at what we didn't have and started reimagining and downloading and receiving what we could achieve, and most importantly, how we could be of service during this time. You see, our service was done in person up until that point. So how are we supposed to help other people heal if we can't even connect with them? Everybody's locked down, everybody's separate. And so we go into prayer, we go into meditation, we start downloading and seeing all the pieces of the puzzle and how we can take all of our experiences and all the modalities, all the techniques, and merge them into something much more powerful than us, but most importantly, something so powerful that it can empower other people to heal themselves. We put this together, we call it Light Force Healing. For the first time in our lives, we put it out on social to the world, online. And by the grace of God, we were fully booked. And we got to witness hundreds of people transforming and healing their lives, healing chronic pain and stress and disease, cancers and tumors, autoimmune diseases, broken hearts. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. These miracles were becoming commonplace, and we got to witness how COVID actually created healing, but it also didn't. During this time, the whole world was experiencing this trauma. People were dying all over the world, and we feared for our parents, especially mine. And so I convinced my parents to sell their home and come and move to Bali. So they did. Within 2 months, both my parents contracted COVID, and they were hospitalized almost instantly. I get a call in the middle of the night, and it's a panicked nurse on a video call. She puts the phone on my mother, who's strapped to a ventilator. And she's struggling to breathe. And she's yelling and yelling, "Help, help, help! I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And I'm witnessing my mother as she's taking her last breaths, and I see her eyes with so much fear peering across the veil to the other side. In that moment, my mother took her last breath, and I lost her here in Bali. Now that death portal was also coupled with a birthing portal.
Here I am, 9 months pregnant. My mother-in-law just passed away down the street from us. And I was doing everything I could to keep my family together, to keep my womb safe so that the baby wouldn't feel that. And everybody on the island was panicking. All the hospitals were full. The doctors were concerned. The midwives were really concerned. And we had to really make a decision. What are we going to do for our birth plan? And in everyone's fear that they were putting on us, we decided there's no other way except for to birth at home, just me and you, the way it was supposed to be, and invite in the ancestors. So my water breaks, and we're at home. And instead of grabbing the phone to call the doctor or a midwife, we grabbed our drum. We lit all the candles, and we created a ceremony. And the only people we invited were our ancestors. And in that moment, in those 4 hours, my mother came through, the lineage of all of my grandmothers came through, and his mother came through. And I saw her, and she gave me everything I needed in that moment to birth my child. Complete, whole, safe, with no fear, no sadness. The passing was no sadness. It was the rites of passage again, because the most sacred portal is that of birth. We are women, we're meant to give birth.
That birthing portal and the coming of our son Isa washed away all the trauma, all the pain in an instant, just like that. The gift of life, healing, the gift of death, the gift of trauma, life, rebirth, the cycles that we all go through, all coming together at one. And those gifts immediately changed our life. And I realized that my mother's death and the experience of the fear and the trauma, yet also holding the strength of the death portal and helping her soul and her spirit transition, gave me the strength to hold my wife and to bring in and help steward the soul and the return of my son. This beautiful gift. I lost my mother, but I gained my child. And everything since then has changed.
We stand here together today telling you all the story for the first time because it hurt for so long. We were so traumatized. It was thing after thing after thing. And you know, that's what Mama Bali does.
Y'all know what we're
Y'all
talking
know.
about.
And we have all gone through so much trauma and pain and suffering in our lives. And we do know that everything that happened to us all in divine timing, all divinely orchestrated, and all so that we could be in full service to the complete and utter reason of only serving our purpose here. And if any of those things didn't happen, we wouldn't be here today. And the single most thing that we did realize was that love and healing as the foundation of everything is all we really need.
And in that experience, recognizing that we all go through these pains, we all go through these traumas, we all go through this suffering, what I realize is often not spoken about is that the prerequisite to the life we want, the joy we want, the happiness we want, the full embodiment of the purpose that we want, the prerequisite is healing. It's not partial healing. It's not 50% healing. It's 100% fully healed. That actually, healing is not a lifelong journey, and it only is if you think it has to be, which doesn't mean that we're not evolving and growing, but the pain and the traumas that come do not need to stay within us, holding us back from our ultimate expression of truth. And by the process of clearing and cleansing, we can actually align to that truth. We can be of service in the greatest way possible during the most incredibly important time on earth, which is now. And so, as we say, the light is the way.
And the way is the light.
And what's not of the light
is in the way.
So let's clear it, my friends. Aho.
Oh.